The silence came first. At the edge of human space, Earth's outer colonies began to vanish, one by one. No distress calls, no explosions, just silence. Entire planets quiet. Civilian stations that once buzzed with life were gone. The people, the ships, even the traffic beacons, they all disappeared. Inside Earth's Defense Council chamber, the generals sat in tense silence. The holographic star map showed fading green lights turning to red, then to black. "They're not retreating," whispered Commander Soren, staring at the screen. "They're being erased." General Hallstrom stood slowly. "Contact New Hades. Last signal came from there 10 minutes ago." The comms officer tapped rapidly, trying. "Sir," no response. More lights vanished. "That's the 5th colony today," another officer said, voice shaking. "What is doing this?" Then it happened. A single deep space satellite orbiting far beyond Mars picked up something impossible. The stars disappeared. Behind clouds, not from malfunction, but because millions of ships blocked the sky like a curtain of steel. They moved together, tight formations, rows stretching beyond the satellite's range. Triangular holes, glowing blue engines, and banners that flickered like fire. The Empire had arrived. Earth had heard of them before. The Empire controlled 2/3 of the known galaxy, cold, brutal, and efficient, but they had never sent this many ships, not even in their bloodiest wars. "This is their entire armada?" whispered Soren. "No," General Hallstrom said grimly. "This is more." The broadcast came next. Every human system picked it up. The voice was mechanical, sharp, like it came from something half alive. "This is the Valari Empire. Surrender. Your kind has no future. You will not suffer if you kneel." No one in the council room spoke for several seconds. The words hung in the air like poison. Then Earth responded, with silence. No reply was sent. Surrender was given. Earth's main beacons went dark. Its long-range transmitters stopped broadcasting. Even its diplomatic satellites shut down. The Empire took that as weakness. From orbit, the alien commanders watched Earth's oceans, its forests, and cities end. They laughed, primitive, soft, all fire. No shield, the Valari fleet lord hissed aboard his massive dreadnought. "Their silence is fear." "Begin the bombardment," ordered his second. Plasma cannons glowed, orbiting weapons began charging, and still, Earth stayed quiet, in the hidden bunkers beneath Mount Kazra. The Defense Council met in the dark. "They think we're scared," Soren said. "We are," Hallstrom replied quietly, "but that's not the same as being defeated." A low rumble passed through the Earth, not from the enemy, from beneath. The bunkers deep within the old Earth's crust were awakening. Lights flickered on inside tunnels not used in over a century. Massive machines groaned to life. Data screens displayed sealed files, some so old, the computers creaked, trying to open them. Titan protocol-level black code. Oh, are we really doing this?" Soren asked. Hallstrom nodded. "They made the mistake of thinking we were just Earth. They forgot what lies under it." Above ground, alien fleets launched warning strikes, small plasma pulses, to test defenses. They hit the old cities, but the cities didn't burn. Instead, power grids shifted. Buildings sank into the ground. Roads locked themselves in strange shapes. "They're retracting infrastructure," one Valari officer muttered. "Why?" From orbit, it looked like Earth was hiding, shrinking. "This is weakness," Fleet Lord snarled. "Finish them." Tens of thousands of warships moved into position. Troop transports prepared for landing. Targeting systems locked onto Earth's largest cities. Then everything changed. The moon went dark. Every camera, every satellite, even Empire ships orbiting the moon saw the same thing. A deep shadow spreading across its surface like liquid. Crack opened across its middle. Then light, a massive shape rose from behind the moon, large enough to cast a shadow on the planet below. It wasn't a ship. It was a machine. A walking fortress. A Terran Titan. No Empire record had any file on such a weapon. Its armor glowed with strange red lines. Its head, if it could be called, that resembled an old Earth War helmet. Its arms carried cannons that dwarfed any weapon known in the galaxy. The Fleet Lord stepped back from his command console, eyes wide. What is that? On Earth?" Hallstrom watched from deep underground. "Let them know," he said. We were never unarmed. The Titan opened fire. A single blast lit up space like a second sun. 3 Valari dreadnoughts disintegrated instantly, their debris scattered, crashing into nearby cruisers. Panic spread across the fleet. Pull back! Pull back! It's before they could finish, the Titan fired again. From across the system, more signals activated, deep under the oceans, under mountains, and frozen in Arctic ice, more Titans began to rise. Some walked, others flew. One even swam, like a serpent of metal and plasma. They had waited, buried for a century, locked behind, forgotten codes. Now the codes had been spoken. Deploy ground troops, the Valari second screamed. Secure a landing zone. But when the first alien troops reached Earth's surface, they found no people, no soldiers, only empty cities, until the buildings moved, what looked like ruins began to change shape. Whole towers twisted like puzzle pieces, revealing hidden gun. Array's streets sank into trenches. Air itself turned electric. The cities weren't abandoned, they were waiting. Earth had not lost control. Earth was the control. One Valari general screamed as a street folded up and swallowed his platoon whole. Another squad fired at shadows until the shadows fired back. Back in space, the fleet lords stood frozen. The battle was supposed to be over in minutes. Their intelligence said Earth was underdefended, fractured, broken. He hadn't realized Earth had been playing dead. Hellstrom watched the screen as fire rose from orbit. No communication. He said quietly, "Let them guess." Outside, a red fog covered the battlefield. Some called it mist. Some believed it was dust from destroyed ships. But the humans knew better. It was only the beginning. The sky above Earth was no longer blue. It was filled with shadows, thousands of enemy ships, moving slowly across the planet's orbit, like insects covering a dying light. Every human city that still stood watched them silently. Every child looked up and whispered the same question: when will they attack again? The Empire had landed troops across several continents. Their soldiers were strong 8 feet, tall, armored, and cold. Their machines hovered, drilled, scanned. But something was wrong. The resistance they expected never came. Why are there no patrols? One Valari commander asked, scanning an empty road outside what used to be Shanghai. There were millions of them. Where are the humans? Dead, perhaps. But the scanners didn't find bodies. No blood, no heat signatures either. Just silent buildings and strange energy fields underground. A Valari scout moved closer to a fallen structure. Its walls were burned, but the scanner beeped. "Wait," he said. "There's movement inside the wall opened. From the darkness inside, several small machines flew out fast, nearly invisible. One latched onto the scout's neck. The rest vanished into the sky. The scout's body twitched, then collapsed. The Valari officer screamed into his comms. They're not dead. The buildings. They're watching us. From orbit, the enemy." Command ships began tracking strange energy signals rising from Earth's crust. One Valari admiral stepped forward. "I don't understand. Why send Titans and then hide again?" Another responded, "Perhaps they're afraid. Perhaps those machines were all they had left." But they were wrong, deep below the Earth's surface. In a black chamber under the old Andes Mountains, human military leaders stood before a long digital table. Continues. "Ground troops have taken over major city ruins. They're scanning, searching, digging," said Lieutenant Knox. Commander Serene nodded. "They think they've already won, that this is cleanup." "Then we keep watching," General Hellstrom said. "Let them get comfortable. What about the people?" Serene asked. "They're scared. Civilians don't understand why we haven't responded." Hellstrom looked up from the table, his face calm. "We will answer," he said, "but not like before." In orbit, the Valari dreadnought Laraxus hovered just above Earth's equator. Inside, Grand Fleet Lord Vextal watched the planet with narrow eyes. His claws scratched the control console slowly. "So slow," he growled. "Why's there no final blow?" His advisors bowed, unsure how to answer. Another screen blinked on. It showed the outer system Mars. A red line crossed the map, showing an object heading toward Earth. "Fast," another human Titan. Vextal hissed. "No, my lord," the technician answered. "It's smaller. Human-made, looks like a ship." The camera zoomed in, fired from orbit. The ship dodged. It moved like nothing they'd ever seen. Before the dreadnought could fire again, The ship split into 3, then 5, then 10. Each copy moved differently. Some dived into the atmosphere. Others vanished behind debris fields. "Is this," Vextal growled. "Phantom-class Saren," said back on Earth, watching the same feed. "Ship is waking them up." In the Pacific Ocean, deep beneath the Mariana Trench, another Titan stirred. This one had no legs. Its body was long coiled, like a serpent made of steel and glass. Its eyes opened bright red, glowing like suns. The water around it began to boil. It rose slowly, not to attack, but to listen. High above, satellites that had been offline since the start of the invasion began blinking back to life. They didn't transmit warnings. They didn't fire weapons. They only sent a single phrase across all Earth frequencies. Phase 2 is active. All hidden assets. Prepare to respond. The Volari on the ground kept searching. They opened bunkers. They scanned ruins, but every time they thought they found a clue, it changed. A road that led to a power plant yesterday now ended in broken hills. A tower that was once hollow now had strange roots, made of wire and steel growing from its base. Nothing stayed the same. It was as if Earth was alive and playing with them then. Something terrifying happened. Every screen on every Volari ship lit up. It was a human face, not angry, not afraid, just calm. It was an old man with gray eyes and a sharp voice. "You came to burn us. You came to show power. Now we'll show you what silence really means." Then the screen went black. And Earth went dark again, was moving slow, massive, just under the crust, on every continent in New Berlin. Volari squads moved through what was left of the human capital. They passed a massive statue of a Terran soldier, one of the few things still standing. "No monument," the Volari commander ordered. "Burn it." One soldier approached the base of the statue and placed a plasma charge. As he stepped back, the statue's eyes glowed. Then it moved, not fast, not like a machine, but alive. Stone cracked, metal screamed. The soldier didn't even have time to scream. The statue crushed him with one hand, then unfolded from its base, revealing a hidden missile system within its chest, from orbit. Sensors lit up. "New Berlin has launched a surface-of-space warhead," a Volari technician shouted. "It's just one. Let it hit. Show them we don't fear toys." They should have feared it. The warhead didn't explode. It released a code, and in space, dozens of human sleeper satellites powered on back on Earth. Hellstrom nodded as reports came in. They're watching the surface. They forgot to look up. Saren smiled grimly. "When do we move to full response?" Hellstrom turned to the command screen. "All fleets, all hidden cities, all reserves wait one more day." "Let them walk deeper," Knox asked. "Why wait?" "Because," Hellstrom said softly, "they think we're weak. And right now, that belief is the most powerful weapon we have." Up in orbit, chaos grew. False signals, phantom ships, strange seismic readings. Volari systems reported thousands of ghost readings. Some commanders fired on empty ground. Others ordered retreats from cities that looked like death traps. Even the bravest among them began to feel it. Not defeat, not even resistance, but something. Worst, on uncertainty, they didn't know what Earth was hiding. They didn't know when it would strike. And more, they didn't know if they'd survive it. In the center of the Volari dreadnought, he leaned forward and gave a command in his native tongue. "Bring down the fire." All of it. The sea began to boil. Miles below the surface. Hidden deep in a trench no map showed, something ancient stirred. It wasn't alive, but it had a heart, not of flesh, of fusion. The sensors embedded in the machine's core lit up for the first time in 120 years. Old commands decrypted one by one. Massive gears locked into place. Armor plates shifted like tectonic plates, groaning through the deep. The humans had named it Ajiran. The Empire would call it something else, doomed on orbit. Volari fleet. Vextal stood at the command deck, his blood-colored robes flowing as screens around him showed chaos below. He snapped. "More surface anomalies," his second-in-command answered. "Moving landmasses, energy surges, and something is rising from the sea." Vextal narrowed his black eyes. "Another Titan. No, not like the others. Bigger, much bigger." He turned to the fleet. "I want all guns pointed at that signal. Now." On the far side of Earth, Volari ships turned toward the Pacific dot from the shores of old Japan. A small human boy stared across the water. He couldn't understand what was happening. His parents had taken him to a bunker, but he had slipped away. Now he stood barefoot on the sand, staring at the impossible. The ocean was lifting. No waves, no tsunami. Just rising water, pushed aside by something immense. Something rising, slow and silent. Then it broke the surface. The machine was shaped like a warrior, its shoulders broad, its head shaped like an ancient Terran helmet. 2 glowing red eyes lit up like suns. Its height reached above the clouds. The boy didn't scream. He smiled. He whispered, "Titan." Inside Earth's hidden command bunker, General Hallstrom stood before a massive wall of screens. Saren pointed. "That's a Jiren. It's online." "About time," Hallstrom said. "What's its primary target?" "The orbital fleet. Section Thatnine." Knox turned from another panel. "Volari ships are charging weapons. They're aiming everything at the Titan." Hallstrom didn't flinch. "Let them. I want to see if they can scratch it." In orbit, dozens of enemy ships locked their weapons on a Jiren. Red targeting grids lit up. Plasma cannons powered. Particle beams hummed. Fire. The sky exploded. Of energy lit up the atmosphere. The ocean lit from above like a second sun. Thousands of tons of energy screamed downward toward the Titan's form. Smoke covered the sea. Fire danced across the clouds. Then the smoke cleared. Jiren stood, untouched, and then it moved. One step shook the tectonic plate beneath it. A second step cracked the seabed. A third Gyren's chest opened. Inside, it glowed blue. So bright, even the satellites caught it. Then it fired. The beam wasn't a laser. It was raw fusion energy compressed into a single blast. It cut through space like a sword. 4 Volari dreadnoughts were erased instantly. The shockwave turned nearby cruisers into molten dust. The rest of the fleet scrambled. Reverse orbit, evade trajectory. Vextal slammed his claws into the console. No one retreats, but they were already dying. Jiren fired again. This time, the beam curved, as if it chose its own path. The Volari ships screamed as it chased them. On Earth, people began to come out of hiding. They looked up at the Skynaut in fear. But in awe, they weren't alone anymore. The Titans were waking. Elsewhere, in the African wastes, another Titan rose. Buried under the sands of a fallen city, its massive arms punched through stone and steel. It was shaped like a lion, its mane of golden metal hissing with heat. In Antarctica, one more emerged, its limbs coated in frost, steam rising as it walked toward the equator with heavy, thunderous steps. Old legends once called them machines of last resort. Humanity had called them myths, but Earth had remembered. And now, so would the Empire. Inside the Volari flagship, a technician screamed, "We've lost 41 ships in the last 12 minutes. Enemy activity detected on all continents." Surface? Response is increasing. We thought they were finished. Vextal stared at the screen, showing Earth. "No," he whispered. "This is their beginning." He turned to his generals. "Bring in the Death Corps. Burn their soil, poison their air. If they want warlit, it be hell." On Earth, Saren watched the incoming threats on screen. "They're activating biological weapons," she said, voice tight. "Deploying Death Corps. Those things melt entire cities." Knox added, "Atmosphere toxins too. They'll try to break the planet itself." Hallstrom said nothing. He just turned to a silent technician in the corner. "Send the command." The technician swallowed. "Are you sure, sir?" "Yes." The technician entered the final code. Omega Vault unlock. Authority code, Zeta. High above. In Earth's stratosphere, something ancient began to open. It had been locked in orbit since before the First Interstellar War. A prison with no walls inside. A dozen human-made AI dreadnoughts powered on. Their weapons had never been tested until now, the Volari. Ships didn't see them until it was too late. 12 black shapes came from Earth's night side, silent, cold, hungry. They didn't broadcast signals. They didn't hail. They just destroyed. Within minutes, the outer rim of the Empire's fleet fell. One dreadnought sent a distress beacon. "They're hunting us." No warning. Just erasure. That message reached no one. The AI dreadnoughts didn't just fire, they predicted, they warped, they learned, and they never missed. At Earth Command, Knox whispered, those were banned after the Mars Rebellion. Hallstrom nodded. So was Invasion. Serene looked up from her screen. Message coming in from the enemy. Put it on. A screen opened, Vextal appeared, surrounded by smoke, his face bleeding from a wound. You lied. You are not weak. You hid all this. All these weapons, these monsters. Hellstrom stepped forward. We didn't lie, you assumed. We were quiet because we remembered, because we knew someday someone like you would come, and we were ready. The screen cut off, no reply came, but the sky burned. Brighter dot, the Titans marched. The dreadnoughts hunted, and Earth at last began to roar. The skies above Earth were still black with enemy warships, but the ground was not silent. Something deep beneath the planet's crust had awakened. It wasn't an army. It wasn't a ship. It was older than the war itself, something buried, for the day Earth would face extinction. The Imperial fleet floated above, confident and slow. Their generals laughed inside their command towers. One of them, Admiral Krovax, watched Earth spin below. No signal. They've given up, he said with a smirk. Cowards. But something strange was happening. The ships that passed near Earth's southern pole started to lose power. Just for seconds, but enough to crash one dreadnought into the ocean. No explosions, just failure. Then nothing. Krovax frowned. Get me scans. Deep seismic readings. Full planetary sweeps. The science teams obeyed. They scanned Earth's crust, its oceans, its skies, and they found something they couldn't explain: strange heat signatures rising from hundreds of hidden points across the globe. Triangular in shape, pulsing. SYNCING. One Imperial officer's voice shook. Sir, the planet is humming. Something inside it is waking up. Back on Earth, in a secret chamber miles beneath old Antarctica, a group of humans stood around. A massive machine. They wore black uniforms with no flags. Their eyes showed no fear. It's time, said Director Rain. Activate protocol, Imber. A young technician hesitated. But we've never tested it. If it fails, Rain cut her off. If we don't use it, there won't be anything left to fail. The technician pressed the final key. All across Earth, ancient machines activated. These weren't weapons built in recent years. Powered by tectonic movement, geothermal energy, and dark matter cores. Above Earth, lights began to glow along the crusts, surface lines forming, shapes no alien had ever seen. Then the air changed. Electromagnetic storms surged upward. They watched from underground, quiet, calculated. Hidden inside them were quantum disruptors, sleeper mines, and stealth torpedoes. They shot upward into the heart of the Empire's formations, ripping apart their formation from within. General Kale, stationed on the Lunar Defense Watchtower, spoke into a private channel. They thought Earth was weak. They thought wrong. Giant mass accelerators rose like spines from its surface. They aimed skyward. Fire, Kale ordered. Massive rods of depleted shot through space at near light speeds. 2 enemy command ships were torn in half in seconds. No energy blasts, just raw, brutal force. In orbit, chaos erupted. Krovax's fleet tried to regroup. Every second, a new system-activated drones rose from hidden silos. Oceanic missiles launched from beneath polar ice caps, and deep-sea platforms emerged from trenches once thought unreachable. Initiating counter-invasion. No mercy protocol engaged. Data failed. We were never attacking, they let us come. Back on Earth, Director Rain watched the carnage unfold from his underground chamber. Phase 1 complete, he said quietly. Now we show them fire. From within Earth's mantle, energy began to build, dark energy that had been collected for decades. The system was called the Bernhardt Protocol. If anyone got too close, Earth would burn the skies to ashdot. The orbital space lit up. The clouds above cracked with heat. And from the core of the planet, pillars of plasma shot into orbit, guided and deadly. Gone in seconds. Krovax screamed as his last dreadnought broke apart above the planet. This isn't possible. That had nothing. But Earth had planned. For this day, it knew the galaxy feared it. That fear was why Earth had been left alone for so long. But fear eventually turns to greed. and the Empire had come to take what it thought was easy prey. They had made a fatal mistake. Now, the stars above Earth weren't black with enemy ships anymore. They were lit by fire. Explosions echoed across the upper atmosphere like thunder from the gods. The sky looked like it was bleeding, and still, Earth didn't speak. There were no victory chants, no messages sent, just silence. Director Rain whispered. To himself, "Let them think we are monsters. Let the galaxy fear Earth again." Below him, Obsidian calculated targets far beyond Earth's orbit. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. They came in waves, the Empire's strongest army ships, larger than cities. Weapons that could boil oceans, and legions bred only to kill now, floated above Earth for the first time in recorded history. The skies were blackened, not by clouds, but by metal. Still, Earth remained quiet. General Karza of the Varnic Empire watched from the bridge of the flagship Dominion's Fist. His many eyes blinked in confusion. No fighters had risen to meet them, no defenses activated, even Earth's orbiting stations had powered down. "This is wrong," Karza muttered, tail twitching. "Where are the humans?" "Scans show the cities are still populated," one of his tech officers replied. "But no power surges, no shields, no weapons activating. Could be a trap," Karza growled, "but their tech is centuries behind. They shouldn't be capable of cloaking something this massive." Still, something didn't feel right. The Empire had crushed hundreds of civilizations across the stars. No species had ever stayed quiet when doom hovered above them. Not like this, not even a last message. No begging, no threats, no surrender. Silence. And that silence was starting to dig under Karza's skin. On Earth's surface, inside a mountain buried deep in the Siberian wastes, Commander Mira Vale stood beside a wall of glowing holograms. Each showed enemy formations, ship designs, shield cycles, weapon frequencies. "We count 8 million warships in orbit," her aide reported. Myra didn't flinch. Her eyes were focused on one thing, a red line blinking across a live heat. Scan of the upper atmosphere, a signal, a secret code sent from one of Earth's sleeper satellites. "Good," she said calmly. "They're fully in position." "And the cities?" her aide asked. "Evacuated. Decoys in place, civilian mines secured. We let the monsters look, and all they'll see is stillness." There was a long pause. The aide's voice lowered, and Operation Black Flame. Mira turned, face unreadable. "Initiate the sequence. Begin shadow protocols. No more warnings. Let the dark begin to walk." Above the planet, the Varnock ships spread wide, ready to strike. "Target the major population centers," Karza ordered. "Burn one city. Let the rest see what awaits them if they continue this childish silence." The command echoed. The First Fleet adjusted. 1,000 ships aimed at the city of New Caldera, home to 20 million humans. They powered up, but before they could fire, the lights went out, not just in the city. Every Varnac ship's systems flickered. In silence, screens dimmed, holograms vanished, weapons froze, lights died. One by one, 8 million Varnock warships went dark. Karza jumped to his feet. "What's report now?" But no one answered, because they were already screaming something. No. Some things had entered the ships, fast, silent, unseen. The lights hadn't just gone out, they had been devoured. "Engineering report." Karza barked. "Gone." Someone whispered. "Gone? What do you mean gone, vents? Shadows? Something's inside the vents?" All around the flagship, strange shadows moved unnaturally across walls and ceilings. They weren't human, they weren't robotic, they weren't known. Even Karza didn't recognize the man. He had studied thousands of species. A strange voice filled the bridge, low and cold. It wasn't Varnock. It wasn't human. It was something worse. "You called Earth weak," it whispered. "Now you learn what they buried beneath their weakness." Back on Earth, Mira stood as tremors rippled. Through the ground, lights pulsed on a massive steel vault behind her opening for the first time in 700 years. Rows of massive black machines began to rise from underground chambers. Not ships, not soldiers, something older, something forgotten. One of her techs stared at the readings, pale. These things, they shouldn't even exist. Weren't they banned? Weren't they locked away? "They were never banned," Mira said. "Just hidden. The galaxy never asked what happened to Earth's first war machines. A deep growl echoed from the vault. Then silence. Then movement. Above, Karz's fleet tried to respond. He watched in horror as one of his cruisers simply disappeared. It didn't explode. It didn't fall. It vanished, sucked into something blacker than space. No explosion, no debris, no trace. Then another dot, and another dot, hundreds, thousands, within minutes, half. The fleet was gone. One of his officers sobbed. "We can't fight this. We don't even know what it is." Karz's voice shook. "Send every distress signal. Retreat. Now. Get us out of this orbit." The command was too late. The space behind them shimmered on. Something massive emerged. It wasn't a ship. It looked like a planet-sized beast made of rotating black metal, with endless glowing eyes. It stared at them, then it opened, and the stars went black at the Galactic Council's headquarters. Far from Earth, alarms rang. "Earth's sector is gone," an analyst whispered. "We lost contact with all Empire ships, even their deep space relays." "How is that possible?" demanded a council elder. "The Varnak Empire sent their entire core fleet. They should have crushed Earth in minutes." A single signal blinked onto the council's screen. Not from Earth, but from deep space. It was a message. Simple, cold, in human language. "Do not send another army. You brought fire. Now you will understand Ash. Karza never saw Earth's cities, never reached the ground. His flagship Dominion's Fist now floated silent in orbit, its crew missing, its engines frozen, its halls echoing with footsteps that weren't his. In the distance, the human war machines waited. They didn't chase. They didn't flee. They just watched. Because Earth had no need to attack. The enemy had already been broken from inside. The Empire's ships burned. Not just a few, not just one fleet. Hundreds, thousands. In deep space, the stars themselves were hidden behind flames and wreckage. No one could believe Earth was supposed to fall, but now it looked like Earth was turning the war into ashes. High above Jupiter, in a shattered battle zone, a small human scout ship moved silently. Its name was Whisper. Inside, Captain Harlan stood still, watching the broken remains of an enemy dreadnought drift past the windows. "They never even saw us coming," he whispered. "We're strong, but not prepared for what Earth has become." Harlan turned. "How many of their fleets have fallen so far?" 7 out of the Empire's 10 primary war groups. "We estimate over 1 million enemy ships destroyed." He let out a slow breath. And Earth, still silent, still hidden, but broadcasting, one line every hour. He raised an eyebrow. "What line?" Iris displayed the message on the screen. "Let the stars witness what happens to those who bring fire to our home." That was all Earth said. No threats, no surrender, just a promise. And now that promise was burning across the galaxy. The Empire was confused, furious, afraid. In their grand war room on the capital planet, Emperor Rel Theron slammed his hand against the metal table. How? Himmerth's fleet had changed. The early ships were known, slow, heavy, old. But now the ships that attacked were different. Fast, silent, invisible, until they struck. And then they vanished again like ghosts. Where did they get this power? One of his generals asked, shaking. They had no allies. Another shouted, no advanced tech. No right to do this. The Emperor pointed at the burning war maps. They had time. We gave them time. That was our mistake. Another admiral looked up slowly. There is one more fleet left. The Core Purge Armada. 10 million ships, Titans, planet breakers. Should we? The Emperor hesitated. He looked into the black void beyond the windows. Then he nodded. Yes, no more waiting. Burn the cradle of man. Burn Earth. Back on the Whisper, Harlan received a new report. They're sending it all, Iris said. 10 million ships. The final fleet. Earth, he asked, still silent, but she paused. Something strange is happening under Antarctica. Power spikes, gravity shifts. There's a rumble. A rumble, Harlan repeated. She nodded, like something ancient. Waking up, he stared at the screen. It's not over. Earth's just getting started. Above Earth's moon, the last human battle group waited. Only 800 ships remained. Old, rebuilt, damaged, but holding position like wolves guarding. The Den Admiral Vora stood at the edge of the command deck of the HSS Vigilant Flame. Her eyes watched the black. "They're coming," her comms officer said. She nodded. "Let them. Earth is watching." Suddenly, a ripple spread across space. Not a signal, not a weapon, a pulse. It echoed through every ship, every satellite. Even the enemy ships far out in space felt it. Iris, watching from the whisper, said what everyone was thinking: that was not a human signal. Down on Earth, deep beneath Antarctica, something massive moved. Ice cracked, rock trembled. A deep hum rose, felt by no ears, but heard by the soul. It was old, not alien, not artificial, but something buried by humans long ago, something they promised never to wake unless Earth faced its final fire. And now the fire had come. Admiral Vora looked at the sky again. The stars were going dark, blocked by the enemy fleet. She turned to her officers. "Earth has given us one job. Hold them off until it rises." "What is it?" one asked. She smiled grimly. "I don't know, but if Earth waited till now to use it, it must be powerful." The Core Purge Armada arrived. 10 million ships, each one a weapon, each one larger than cities. Engines glowed like suns. Their shadows swallowed moons, and still Earth remained silent. No signal, no plea, only the rumble from beneath the ice. The edge of the solar system, the first wave of Earth's stealth ships, struck. No one saw them coming. Explosions danced across the black, but it was not enough. The enemy kept coming. They burned Mars' defense rings. They shattered Neptune's listening posts. They pushed forward, unstoppable then. Earth spoke, across every channel, every frequency. One sound came through, a low rising hum, and then the Earth's south pole shattered. Not from above, but from within. A mountain rose, splitting the ice. No, not a Mountina machine. Larger than any ship. Larger than some moons, metal, bone, and light. A Titan, a human war construct from the old wars. A last weapon, too dangerous to use until now. It looked up with glowing eyes, and then it moved. Iris watched in awe. "That's not a ship, that's a world killer," Harlan whispered. Earth didn't wait to fall. It waited to remember. The Titan began to rise into orbit. As it did, the enemy fleet shifted. For the first time, the Empire's ships retreated. They had numbers, they had fire, but they didn't have this. Earth's silence had been hiding something far worse than war. It had been hiding a nightmare, with metal skin, and it had just opened its eyes. Admiral Vora's crew stared. "We were never meant to win with fleets," she said. "We were meant to end it." The Titan raised its arms. Energy gathered. The stars behind the enemy fleet flickered. Then a beam of white fire cut across space. 1,000,000 ships gone in 1 second, and Earth still hadn't said a word. The war had changed again. The Empire's commanders screamed, "Pull back! Fall back!" But there was no back. The Titan followed. Every time the enemy thought they understood humans, something new rose from the ashes. Now, it wasn't just Earth's fire they feared, it was Earth's wrath. And this was just the beginning. The skies above Earth were not empty anymore. The blackout was gone now. Fire filled the heavens. The first wave of Earth's response had been a whisper. Silent warships, unseen by the enemy, slipped through dark space and attacked key Empire control nodes. Within hours, 10 enemy fleets had vanished without warning. No signals, no screams, just black emptiness. Admiral Rhea stood in the Earth Defense Command room, her eyes fixed on the massive screen ahead. A storm of red dot Empire ships still surrounded Earth, but now dozens of them blinked out every second. "Status?" she asked sharply. "Silent blade units have breached Fleet Core 7. No losses reported," replied Lieutenant Malk. "Wraith-class destroyers are executing Phase 3. Enemy command nodes collapsing." Rhea narrowed her eyes. "And Earth, still cloaked, still silent. The Empire has no idea where we're striking from." Deep beneath Earth's crust, buried in ancient bunkers built during the First Contact War, Earth's real fleet, Trumite was launching Dot in a different part of space. Far above Mars, High Overlord Rexer of the Empire roared in confusion. "How are they doing this? Where is their fleet?" His command ship, the Vengeance Crown, had been the flagship of over 50 planetary conquests. Yet now, his screens showed chaos. Red signals from Empire ships were vanishing without any signs of conflict. "They are invisible, Overlord," his tech officer said shakily. "There are no warp signatures, no signals. We can't trace their jump drives or detect their energy output. That's impossible," Rexer hissed. "No civilization hides from the Empire. None." He slammed his clawed fist into the console. But even that couldn't hide the truth. He was losing fast back on Earth. Deep within the command vault known as the Core, General Marcus Lane observed the data stream with silent focus. His voice was calm, but carried steel. "They thought Earth was quiet because we were afraid," he said. "But we weren't hiding. We were watching, listening, waiting." A small smile crossed his lips. "We let them show their full hand. Now we break it." One of the junior officers whispered, "They still outnumber us 300 to 1. General Lane's eyes didn't waver. "Then we'll kill 300 at a time." In orbit around Saturn, a cloaked human warship moved silently, its hull black as void. Its weapons charged dot inside the horizon fang. Commander Illyra watched her tactical screen light up with enemy clusters. "Command confirms," her officer said. "The enemy believes we're using ghost weapons. They think this is an illusion." Illyra laughed. "Then let's give them a nightmare they'll never wake from." With one word, fire, the ship unleashed a storm of magnetogravitic torpedoes. Each one warped space itself, tearing apart Empire dreadnoughts before their shields even activated dot in under 10 seconds. An entire arm of the Empire's front line shattered into drifting wreckage, and no one saw who hit them. Inside the Empire's fleet, panic was spreading. The enemy wasn't where they expected. Human ships struck from behind. From inside, from nowhere, Empire warships fired into empty space. They wasted volleys on false targets. Their AI was confused. Their commanders even more so. A desperate transmission echoed across Empire channels. "This is Admiral Coronau's fleet is being erased. Sensors can't see them. Our minds can't process what's happening. They're using forbidden tech." Dark space merging, the transmission cut off with static. The last image was of his bridge, engulfed in fire, on Earth. Rhea and General Lane watched as half of the Empire's command chain fell apart. "We've tested it long enough," Rhea said. Lane nodded. "Bring the Titan online." Everyone in the command room froze. They had never used the Titan, not even during the last Great War. The Titan was not a ship. It was not a bomb. It was a being part machine, part living AI from the darkest part of human history, built in secret after Earth's near extinction. It had only one function: eradication, in orbit around Earth, hidden beneath layers of cloaked satellites and defense shells. Something massive began to rise. The stars behind it vanished, not from its shadow, but because it was consuming light. Itself its name, Oblivion Construct Titan Protocol 1. Its voice echoed through every human channel. "Protocol 1. War state confirmed. Eradication begins." Its weapons were not visible. They folded reality. The Empire's fleet tried to run, but distances became lies. Their engines failed. Their navigation collapsed. They were caught inside an invisible cage, a cage called Titan's Reach, one by one. Their ships were torn into fragments, reversed in time. Burned in frozen flame. No one understood how, but everyone watched. Overlord Rexer screamed in rage and terror as his dreadnought was pulled into something that shouldn't exist. "This is not technology," he cried. "This is a curse, a forbidden god." His last sight was Earth, silent, cold, watching. Then his ship vanished, not exploded, not destroyed, erased. The stars slowly returned. Humanity's silence had spoken, and the Empire had heard it with their blood, their screams, and their vanishing fleets. General Lane turned to his team. "Let them send their historians. Let them ask why. But let them remember." He looked up at the screen where the words "Empire Armada, 94% destroyed" flashed. "Earth does not beg. Earth does not break. Earth waits. And when Earth finally strikes, it leaves nothing." The chamber under Earth's Arctic core was quiet, too quiet. The core defense AI had gone silent 2 hours ago. No one inside the bunker dared speak louder than a whisper. They all knew something had changed, something big. Commander Ryan stared. At the screen, still no signal from Orbital Line 7. "Nothing," replied Lieutenant Mara. Her voice trembled. "All our stations above Ossa Pacifica are gone." Ryan's hands clenched. That was the last major orbital defense ring. Where's the Empire now? Mara tapped into the sensor relay, rerouted through old human satellites hidden in asteroid belts. There above the Atlantic. Hundreds of thousands of ships, just waiting. A scientist nearby turned pale. "Why are they waiting?" Ryan answered quietly, "Because they're afraid. They sent everything they had, and now they wait to see if we'll do anything." Suddenly, a low hum vibrated through the walls. What was that? The lights dimmed, flickered, and returned. Then, a voice came through the internal comms. "System alert, initiating fallback protocol. Leviathan-class systems unlocked." Ryan's blood ran cold. What did it say? Mara turned to him, her eyes wide. It said, "Leviathan systems, those don't exist. That was just a myth. That was—" Ryan stopped. The ceiling shook slightly. The ground felt like it was breathing. And then far above them, something tore through the sky. In orbit, the Empire's Grand Admiral Varkin stood on the bridge of the Dreadnought, Dominion Vale. His ships stretched across Earth's sky. There were so many, they eclipsed the sun. "Any response from Earth?" he asked. "No, Supreme Admiral." Earth remains silent. No movement, no energy surge, no launch signatures. Varkin nodded. "Then begin Operation Final Ember. Bombard Earth's surface, erase their cities, erase their defiance." Just as his officers began the commands, alarms shrieked. New contact. Multiple gravitational signatures rising from beneath the Earth's crust. "What?" Varkin stepped forward. "That's not possible." Screens flickered. A single shape appeared. Massive, blacker than the void. "Sir, I think it's a ship." No ship. "Is that size?" "Sir, it's moving the ocean." From space, it looked like a monster was waking from the planet's core. One by one, pieces of Earth's crust broke apart. Chunks of continents lifted, not exploded, lifted controlled. Then, from the cracked Arctic, something impossibly large emerged. A ship ore, maybe. A weapon rose from ice that hadn't melted in over 5 million years. Leviathan-class warship, Heart of Ashes status, active empires, ships went into chaos. What is that thing? It's changing the magnetic field. Our targeting systems are blind. She's jamming our entire fleet using gravitational waveforms. Impossible. And then, Earth finally responded. One signal, broadcast in an old, near-forgotten human language: "We warned you. We told the galaxy, leave Earth alone." The Heart of Ashes charged forward. Back in the bunker, Ryan stood tall. "Get every global defense node synced to Leviathan protocol." "But sir, we don't even know what that ship is doing." "We don't have to. It knows." That thing was built for this moment. For them, the entire planet's crust vibrated. Beneath volcanoes, under tectonic plates enchant, human tech came online. Not just weapons, entire planetary systems. Satellite ghosts turned back on abandoned moons, reactivated. And deep inside gas giants, machines hidden for millennia opened their eyes. Mara stared at the incoming data. "Sir, these aren't just weapons. These are global constructs. Artificial intelligence, cities, fields, climate systems, everything." Earth wasn't defenseless. It was waiting. In orbit, the Empire opened fire. Massive beams of red energy, planet-killer missiles, torpedo swarms, everything. The Heart of Ashes didn't dodge. It absorbed, redirected, recycled. It grew, and then it returned fire. From the belly of the ship, gravity bent outward. Time twisted, light screamed, and a ripple of raw energy erased 30,000 enemy ships in one breath. "Sir, their ship just don't speak," Varkin whispered, watching as an entire arm of his fleet vanished into a glowing hole. "In space, I see it." He ordered retreat, but it was too late. Earth had awakened. On Earth's surface, civilians looked to the sky. It was dark, but not from night. It was blocked. But the darkness wasn't just enemy ships anymore. It was ours, human. Warships older than recorded memory rose from under oceans out of deserts, hidden across canyons and asteroid mines. "Forgotten Titans. One," Child whispered. To her father, Are those stars coming back? He looked up, tears in his eyes. No, baby, those are our monsters, and they're hungry. Back in the Empire, thousands of light years away, a dozen ruling species watched the battle. Unfold via real-time wormhole feeds, the feed ended in static. Silence followed. One elder asked, "Is it over?" A diplomat replied, his voice shaking. "No, Earth was just getting started." Varkin watched helplessly as the Heart of Ashes began tearing apart the Dominion Veil, not with missiles, not with lasers, with gravity itself. "Why? Did we provoke them?" he muttered as his ship's hull collapsed inward. Earth's voice replied one last time through the ship's speakers. "We laughed too. Until we built monsters to make sure no one ever laughed at us again. Then everything went white." The command room deep beneath Earth's crust was completely quiet. Screens glowed with static. Lights flickered. Every officer stared forward, waiting for orders that might never come. The silence from space was worse than before. Now, it felt personal-like someone was holding their breath just before the kill. General Rourke stood tall at the center of the room. His armor was scratched, the left side of his face covered in a burn mark, but his eyes were sharp. "Status on the shield?" "Grids," he asked calmly. "For sectors, still holding, sir," said Lieutenant Vega, "but we lost Tokyo Relay, and the lunar barrier is flickering. Keep the remaining nodes online. Prioritize cities that still have evac ships." Rourke turned to the giant screen. "Open the civilian feed." The screen showed chaos across Earth, fires screaming, ships rising into the sky, only to be shot down seconds later. Families huddled in shelters, but no one was crying anymore. Everyone was quiet, watching, waiting, like they knew something was coming. "They're all watching," Vega said softly. Rourke nodded. "They should." The last light before the storm always feels like this. Suddenly, a ping echoed across the room. An incoming signal, not from Earth, not from any known frequency. The room held its breath. "Decrypt it," Rourke ordered. A few seconds passed, then a single voice came through the speakers. Cold, sharp, alien. "You delay the inevitable. Our fleets cover your world like a shroud. Your sun will be the next to fall. There will be no peace. Only surrender roar, extinction." Then silence again. Rourke didn't even blink. "Track the source." "Already did," Vega said. "It came from their command ship, one of the ones holding near Jupiter. Massive structure, twice the size of Earth's moon." The general rubbed his jaw. "The Imperial womb ship," he whispered, "where they build their next generation. That's where their emissary hides." A voice behind him spoke. "If we hit it," everyone turned. It was Dr. Aylin, the AI weapon specialist. Her eyes looked tired, but there was a strange fire. Behind them, "If we destroy the womb ship," she continued, "we kill the core of their species, their birthing chambers, their strategic AI nexus, their fleet coordination hub. It's all there. That's why they never expected us to strike." "But we can't even break orbit," Vega said. "Their orbital net is absolute. We're surrounded." "Not entirely," said Aylin. "We still have the Nox field aura deep under Antarctica. If we link it with the Dyson Lancer in Lunar Vault 7, we might get one clean shot." Rourke turned slowly. "You're proposing we use the last forbidden weapon, the one built for planetary erasure." "It was never meant to be fired," Aylin said. "It's unstable. Even using it could kill us." "But it could work," Vega said. "No," Rourke said, shaking his head. "Not could. It must. If this is our last shot, then we give them something to remember." The room grew colder. Officers moved into action without another word. Rourke turned to the screen again. He raised the old Terran fist, a symbol from before spaceflight. Promise of defiance. "Send a message," he said, just one line. Vega typed quickly, then asked, "What should it say, sir?" Rourke spoke clearly. "You wanted silence. Now listen closely. Far above Earth, deep in the void, near Jupiter." The emissary stood inside its crystal chamber aboard the womb ship. Its multiple eyes scanned data streams. Earth had not responded as expected. No surrender, no fear. Only stillness. Like they were planning something, the emissary turned to its officers. "How many human ships remain?" "Almost none," replied the intelligence drone. We've tracked 98% destruction across all colonies. Only local shuttles remain. Then why do they watch and not act? The emissary asked. Suddenly, a pulse flickered through space. Something different. Back on Earth, the Knoxfield array began to glow. Entire ice shelves cracked and melted. The sky above Antarctica turned blood-red. Light poured out of ancient silos. For a moment, it looked like Earth itself was waking up. In Lunar Vault 7, hidden behind the ruined moon, the Dyson Lancer roared to life. Superheated plasma surged into the vacuum. The device, older than any living human, screamed as it pulled power directly from Earth's core and the solar magnetic stream. They'll see it coming, Vega said. They're meant to, Rourke replied. It's the last thing they'll ever see. Above Jupiter, alarms rang across the womb ship. Unstable gravity spike detected near Sol trajectory. Not at us, through us. The emissary shouted, "Evacuate all AI cores. Protect the birthing chambers." But it was too late from Earth. A narrow beam of unstable light, like a scar across reality, tore through the stars. It passed through space like a god's sword. No warning, no sound. It struck the womb ship directly. For a second, nothing happened. Then, everything did. The womb ship didn't just explode. It came undone like it was never real, like it had been erased from memory. No debris, no escape pods. Just ... absence. Across the Imperial fleet, chaos followed. Coordination broke down. Ships began drifting, AI links severed. Some turned on each other. Others simply shut down back on Earth. Cheers erupted in underground cities. Rourke stood still. Did it hit? Aylin nodded slowly. It didn't just hit, it deleted them. Status of the fleet, he asked. Vega stared at the screen. They're falling apart. One just rammed into Mars. Another's destructed. They're blind now. A new signal. Ping this one from the Empire's remaining warfleet. It's a message, said Vega. Play it, Rourke ordered. The alien voice returned, but now it trembled. We underestimated you. That was a mistake we won't repeat. But if you think we are defeated, you are wrong. You've started something that cannot be stopped. Then silence. Dr. Aylin turned to the general. They're retreating. But that wasn't fear. That was warning. They'll be back, Vega said. Rourke nodded. Let them come. Next time, we won't just fire once. Far away, at the edge of the galaxy. The surviving emissaries gathered the first emissary. Looked at the void where the womb ship used to be. They used something ancient. Something we sealed long ago. They tapped into the Starforge's secret fire. The second emissary responded, They are not what we thought. They are not weak. The third emissary's voice was cold. Then, next time, we won't give them a chance to breathe. The stars shivered. Earth had survived the first strike, but the war was only beginning. And in the heart of the void, something even older had awakened. Not human. The final silence was not the end. It was the beginning of fire. Asterisk, the Empire's high command, stood frozen in their war chamber. The stars above Earth were still on fire, but the source of that fire was gone. The human warships that had burst from Earth's shadow were nowhere to be found. No wreckage, no signals. Only burned husks of Empire ships drifting silently. This cannot be, whispered Admiral Varkin, his voice trembling. They were outnumbered 10,000 to 1. We saw them, said High Strategist Oath, the Terran Fleetos. Black ships, they tore through our command lines like they knew exactly where to strike. And then they vanished, said another voice, cold and hollow, into nothing. The Empire's fleet was shattered. What was left of it limped back. To the edge of the Sol system, weapons useless, scanners broken, and morale in ruins. Every time they tried to send a probe or signal into Earth's orbit, it was eaten by silence. No echoes, no return. They are hiding in the silence, said Oath. They've turned it into a weapon. Back on Earth, the Council of Flame sat quietly in their deep bunker beneath the burned remains of New Geneva. Chairman Sora looked at the others, his voice calm despite the destruction above. Is Project Thanatos active? A woman with sharp eyes nodded. It's already in motion. The Empire opened the gate. We just walked through it. They called it a defensive action. But what Earth unleashed was far beyond defense. It was a cold fury, built over decades of warnings, betrayals, and losses. Every Terran child had been raised, hearing the stories of how Earth's ambassadors were ignored, its colonies hunted, its people mocked for choosing peace, they thought. Silence meant fear, said General Wu, staring at a floating map of the galaxy. They didn't know it was calculation. Suddenly, one of the silent satellites near the Sol border came alive. A small screen blinked inside the Empire's shattered command cruiser, the Valoron's Reach. A single Terran voice came through. Calm, steady. You had your chance. The message ended, and then the stars began to blink out. Not from ships, not from weapons, from something else. Dark matter ruptures unstable, violent bursts of gravitational collapse through the Empire's border systems. Planet after planet fell into shadow as time-space itself tore open. Terran technology had moved past weapons. Now they wielded silence. The Empire's outposts vanished within minutes. Core systems tried to activate planetary shields, but they failed. The silent code embedded inside their systems, a code planted years ago by Terran AI, shut them down before they could blink. On the capital world of Virelion, panic broke out. The Emperor himself was evacuated underground. Cities burned. Their skies rained fire, not from above, but from their own crumbling satellites turning against them. "Where are the Terrans?" the Emperor screamed. "Where is their fleet?" No one could answer, because there was no Terran fleet anymore. They were shadows, data ghosts, silent codes embedded across the stars. They had learned the true nature of war. You do not fight to win. You make sure the enemy never dares to raise a hand again, one by one. Entire species that had joined the Empire began sending surrender signals. We did not agree to this war. We begged the Empire not to provoke Earth. We have no part in this, please. Earth responded with the same silence it had always given, but this silence was different. It was loud now, deafening. A silence filled with unspoken fury. A silence that carried the weight of every Terran life lost in the void. Back in the Council's chamber, Chairman Sora stood. The galaxy sees us now. Not because we shouted, but because we stopped speaking. "And now?" asked General Wu. "Now," Sora said, "we vanish again. Leave them with the silence they gave us. But let them fear every moment of it." Elsewhere, in deep space, far beyond any known star, a Terran ship drifted quietly. Inside it sat a girl, no older than 16. She looked at the stars, what was left of them, and whispered, "They should have listened." The AI beside her responded in a gentle voice. They believed the myths. But myths too are born from truth. The ship disappeared into hyperspace without a sound. In the ruins of the Empire, the silence grew, and the galaxy never recovered. End of story title, The Final Silence Before Fire theme. Earth was mocked, then Earth went quiet. In that silence, it built the end of empires.